This is King Carouse from the Black History Buff podcast, and I know you're busy, but before you move on, I've got some questions for you. Do you know who the father of modern medicine is? Did you know that the most famous Russian writer of all time is black? Could you tell me the name of an Ethiopian samurai? Look, if you already know that black history is world history and can answer all of those questions, then please, just skip this message. If not, then hang on. In a world filled with false flags and fake news, the need for critical thinking has never been higher. And studying history helps us to understand today, avoid repeating the mistakes of the past, think critically and catch governments out in lies. It helps us to forecast the future, and it also helps us to solidify our cultural identity. Those are some useful skills to build, right? Being able to see clearly through the noisy, information-based society of today has gone from being a desirable skill to being an essential one. Now, I know what you're thinking. That all sounds amazing, but let's be honest, who's got time to do all that research? And well, that's why you need the Black History Buff podcast. Each week, I bring you a savoury slice of history that's gonna challenge, enrich, and entertain you. The show will make you think, help you learn something new about your history, or the history of a friend or loved one, or at the very least, give you an interesting story to tell the in-laws when the conversation gets dry. So do yourself a favour and click the link or Google Black History Buff podcast, and please come check out the show. Alright, you can get back to scrolling now. See you later. Peace.
Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
So, today is our last episode of February. So,
It's bad for me to sigh like that, isn't it? I don't mean it that way.
I know what you mean, because the next episode you get to swear.
Not necessarily that. It's just, you know me. We're talking about racism and discrimination on our podcast, and then in off podcast land, I'm arguing with Nazis. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm just a glutton for punishment, just such a glutton for punishment. I need to argue with racists.
You've got that sense of justice, and
it's my Quaker ancestors who
it's
my abolitionist ancestors that are like, this is wrong. How do you not understand this is wrong? Mm-hmm. Stop being wrong.
Yeah. The one ancestor that was called a scoundrel for the stuff he was doing that, nowadays would be considered anti-racist action. He'd probably be in Antifa, so.
I come from a long line of white traitors. Yeah, the bizarre concept that somehow wanting fair and equal treatment for all human beings somehow makes you a traitor to the group that you were born into, that you didn't choose to be a part of, that you just happened.
You just happened to be white.
It's like nationalism, being born on a specific piece of soil, and you're somehow supposed to be devout to that piece of soil.
Yeah.
And somehow it's better than every other piece of soil because you were born onto it.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, dear listeners. I have been on a Twitter tirade with white genocide people, aka Nazis, and as soon as we're done with this episode, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'm going right back to it.
It's okay. I'll be going right into editing this episode. So.
And then you'll be hearing lots of cursing, probably.
Yep. So, this will be a this will be kind of a fun episode, a fun show, because we are going to be covering George C. Wolfe's The Colored Museum. You've seen one thing directed by George C. Wolfe already. It was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. But this is one that George C. Wolfe actually wrote, and this will be the first one of his that you've seen.
I love that last name.
Wolf.
Yeah.
It's Wolf with an E, but still.
So?
Wolf.
I know it's Wolf.
Oh!
I love wolves. Man, if my last name was Wolf, I would just go by Wolf. I wouldn't even have people call me my first name. I'd just be like, I'm Wolf. Nice to meet you.
So, this is going to be the first show that he's written that you've seen, and I plan on covering more of him later, but for right now, we're covering a show of his that had some mixed reviews, and we'll go into why, but I still really like it. So, this is another playwright who's still alive, and who is also younger than my mom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that blew me away. He was born September 23rd, 1954, and is the son of Costello Wolfe, who was a government clerk who wrote for the U.S. Army newspaper in World War II, and Anna Wolfe, an educator who went on to get a doctorate from Miami University. So, again, comes from very well-educated people, very respected people, and he is this artistic guy from the get-go, doing ceramics, doing art. In high school, he starts directing plays for his high school, but in college, it was the seeds for this play with music, because it's called a play in most of the stuff I've seen, even though there are musical numbers in it, so it's not technical. It's labeled as a play, but whatever. But the seeds were planted when Wolfe was in college, and to quote Black Theater USA, Wolfe, anxious to know the larger world, found his way to Pomona College in Claremont, California, where he wrote Up for Grabs, a satire on television game shows. At Pomona in 1976, he took a class with Angela Davis. Yes, the Angela Davis. The paper he submitted on theater stereotypes, she gave him an A+, was the seed concept for the Colored Museum, which he would write 10 years later. And his first play that would be performed was Tribal Rights, or The Coming of the Great God Bird Nabucco to the Age of Horace Lee Leiser, which, according to Black Theater USA, is a Japanese theater Caribbean cartoon. And I actually can't find much else about this play, like what it's about, anything like that, which is too bad, because I actually would be very interested to see this, because you know me, I'm a completionist with theater. I'm a completionist with theater and with film, size, and El Apostol. Anyway, so I'm going to quote an article from the LA Times on George C. Wolfe regarding this one.
La Times.
And to reference, I'm going to be talking about a guy named Joseph Papp. We talked about him a little bit in the episode on Pirates of Penzance, and we'll be talking about him more when we do shows like A Chorus Line. What Joseph Papp was crafting on the East Coast, a theater teeming with life and vitality, capitalizing on the textual richness of a complex city, C. Bernard Jackson was doing on the West Coast. During an early meeting with Jack back in 1977, I gave him the first scene from a play I was working on. I guess as some sort of homage to Abraham Lincoln, a synopsis of the rest of the play was written on an envelope. He called me the next day and said, "Here's some money, go do it." He didn't mean go finish writing it, he meant go do it. Cast it, direct it, design it, rehearse it, and so I did. The name of the play was Tribal Rights, or The Coming of the Great God Bird Nabucco to the Age of Horace Lee Leiser. Though I've been involved in many projects since, this production was perhaps the most crucial to my evolution, because it was someone like Jack, a person with his convictions, saying yes to me. I believe it deeply influenced the kind of artist I've become. Yeah, so, this producer sends him off to create a work of art.
Go, young Pap, create.
Oh, no, Wolf.
Sorry.
Yes, Wolf is the one who...
Go, pup, Wolf, create.
Go, my pup.
He's just a young pup trying to make his way in the world. Ow! I'm sorry, in the back of my head, I'm still fighting with Nazis. So...
It's okay, baby. So, George C. Wolfe's next major work would be Paradise, a satirical work that pointed out what Western greed does to the land it colonizes, which led to critics feeling called out and acting as if it was all about them and getting mad. Which, as you've heard me and other folks say, if it don't apply, let it fly. But if it upsets you that much, it might be because you were the one doing what is being satirized.
Yeah, or you
Just
benefit from it,
saying.
or you think it's a good idea, or.
Just saying. Speaking of satire, Black Theater USA gives some background on his next satire and the one we'll be watching today, The Colored Museum. See, in the 80s, Wolfe was working as an assistant librarian for the Hatch Bishop's collection. This is an archive of Black theater that, goodness, set me down in there with all of the archives, please.
See, and I hear Hatch Bishops, and I just think of, like, Hatch chilies, but they're, like, made to look like bishop chess pieces. I've also been playing chess online, so... That's a spicy diagonal move.
Speaking of, Warren looks over at the chess game.
Yeah, I've got 2 pending moves. I'm gonna move real quick. Don't mind me doing a thing. Doop a doop 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 ba doop 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 doo doo ba ba. Got another one to do. I'm gonna go over here and make a move.
Good job.
You're not getting away. Come back here, Bishop.
So like I said, George C. Wolfe is working in this archive of Black theater, which meant that Wolfe was able to comb through all of these plays and musicals, and this starts to influence his next work. Which is why we're ending this year with this play. You've had some exposure to a variety of different shows. You've also had exposure to other things just by living with me and for being with me for almost 13 years. So I feel this show will be a great review for you, and I've watched it 3 times already this year.
2021's gonna be our baker's dozen.
Yes, it'll be our baker's dozen year.
That's awesome.
We should get a baker's dozen of donuts on our anniversary and just hork them all down.
I like this idea.
Yes. Ow! Anyway, so, Colored Museum is first performed in 1986 at the New York Public Theater, brought to you in part by the aforementioned Joseph Papp. And, hoo boy, here's how an article from the New York Times began regarding this play. There comes a time when a satirical writer, if he's really out for blood, must stop clowning around and move in for the kill. That unmistakable moment of truth arrives about halfway through The Colored Museum, the wild new evening of black humor at the Public Theater. In a sketch titled The Last Mama on the Couch Play, the author, George C. Wolfe, says the unthinkable. Says it with the uncompromising wit and leaves the audience, as well as a sacred target, in ruins. The devastated audience, one should note, includes both blacks and whites. Mr. Wolfe is the kind of satirist almost unheard of in today's timid theater who takes no prisoners.
Ooh, it's a very spine-tingly review of the man.
Yeah, and I was going to read you some more reviews from this, but I realized that it would spoil things. So I will just say, there is nothing that is safe in this. Nothing.
I appreciate that, though. I shouldn't say I appreciate that, though, because, I'm one of those things that I do find some things sacred, some things that should not be trifled with, But they're probably not things that he's going to poke fun at.
But like he pokes fun at homophobia. He pokes fun at
good.
Josephine Baker. He pokes fun at the issues of hair in our culture. He pokes fun at...
So when you say the issues of hair, is it basically how natural black hair is not accepted by white
and
society?
like how we destroy our hair to try and conform.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's actually in one of my favorite segments of this show that he does this, but also like trying to conform with whiteness, period. He pokes fun at Ebony Magazine. He pokes fun all sorts of stuff at basketball. Like, it's amazing. It is a funny show. And I don't want to go too much into George C. Wolfe as well, because we do have a lot of his work to cover later on. Especially if we can get a hold of Jelly's Last Jam, Bring Into Noise, Bring Into Funk, and Shuffle Along, which again, if someone sends those to tonedeafmusical@gmail.com, I will appear to aid you when you need me the most.
There's no help like K.
There's no help like K. Send me any of those three, and I will just appear. And if it's in the middle of an episode, Warren gets to do an episode. Woo! But this man is prolific and is an amazing writer and director. Among his directing credits, besides what I just told you, were 2 Angels in America plays, which aren't musicals, but we'll probably cover those someday because they are pretty landmark works. Caroline or Change, which I scream about whenever it gets mentioned because I love it! And most recently on Broadway, one of my favorite titles for a show, Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus. So, that's my little presentation to get you ready for the Colored Museum. Do you have any questions before we go watch?
Okay, so... Well, dang it. Okay, my questions are ones that I guess I shouldn't ask because they'll be answered as we watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, so I want to tell the audience and you what I'm thinking that the Colored Museum is, and I want to see how wrong I am. So,
Okay.
I think that the Colored Museum is going to be a museum that has, like, wax figures of important people, and as they, like, go to each different... what's it called? Installment? Exhibit. The figure comes to life and, like, talks about whatever that thing is. And there will be a black security guard working the night shift who... So...
It's the Colored Museum, not Night at the Colored Museum.
Well, I kind of, as I was watching your eyes, my brain then kind of went off, you were way off, and then, so I just threw a Hail Mary in there. I don't know, I'm still betting on wax figures that come to life to talk about black issues.
Not a bad thought. Not a bad thought.
You know, that could be Warren's, placard. Warren, not a bad thought. Vote Warren, not a bad thought.
Hey, you're gonna be 35 by the time that the next presidential election comes up, so...
And I have just as much political qualifications as the last candidate.
Exactly.
As the last president.
Yeah, exactly.
As we've seen, it is an entry-level political position.
Yes, so you could be president in
And
2024.
I promise not to run on racism. What would I run on? Vote for Warren. I will be the last president. Because I will make myself emperor. And I will rename America Land Awesome. And I will guarantee to erect amusement parks everywhere. And water slides. Everyone gets a water slide. Tax the rich to pay for everyone's water slide. And ice cream. Every Friday is Ice Cream Friday. It's like an elementary schooler wanting to be class president. I will add a 3rd recess and a 4th recess. And every Friday will be Pizza Ice Cream Friday.
I can also see you giving back a lot of land.
That's one of the things that I won't run on, but I'll do when I get in office.
Oh, okay. I see.
Just like reparations.
You won't run on it, but then suddenly it'll be like, wait a minute. Where'd this check come from?
Uh-huh. I'll put Bezos in Guantanamo. And Zuckerberg while I'm at it. Eat the rich. Eat the rich.
We here at Tone Deaf say, the rich taste good with barbecue sauce. Anyway, shall we go and watch?
Or Frank's Red Hot.
Or Frank's Red Hot. You can put that on anything. Shall we go watch the Colored Museum?
Yes, before this gets even more off the rails. See, by the end of Black History Month, we're just like, we've pent up and had to censor ourselves so much, now we're going slap happy.
And then the next show is a kids' movie.
Oh, I'm gonna curse like a sailor. I'm gonna invent new curse words. You can bet on it. And that's one that my sister's gonna sit in for. They're gonna be like, ow, I don't like hearing all these things, brother. And I'll be like, too bleeping bad. It'll be the bleep before, the land bleep before land bleep time. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Bleepity bleep. Let's see if Kay cuts this from the final episode. Young listeners?
Let's go.
Let's go bleep.
Hey, Warren.
Hey, Kay.
Do you know what time it is?
Is it time to thank our Patreon sponsors?
It is!
Woo! We would like to thank our Stage Crew sponsors, Jeff, Reagan, and Jasmine Wu.
And our Producer Circle sponsors, Jesse, BeAnArtsHero, and Taylor Brandt.
Thank you all so much for your continued support of our show.
We truly appreciate it.
My name is Country Boy from the One Mic Black History Podcast, the Black History podcast that chronicles little-known incidents from African Americans in American history. And this clip is about the origins of Black History Month. Black History Month is the annual celebration of the study and achievements of African Americans, and it was birthed from a time when African Americans weren't being recognized for their central role in American history. Also known as African American History Month, it grew out of Negro History Week, which was the brainchild of Black historian Carter G. Woodson. In 1915, Carter G. Woodson and prominent minister Jesse E. Moreland founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. This organization was dedicated to researching and promoting the achievements of African Americans and people of African descent. If you enjoyed this clip and you'd like to learn more, join us at onemichistory.com.
And now, the lights are going down and the music's starting back up, so let's head back to the second act of our show. So, I know that the first couple of sketches were a little rough for you, but how did you feel about the Colored Museum?
I'm actually not quite sure how I feel about this show.
Like most audiences at the time.
Well, because there was a lot of stuff that, because I'm not black and I didn't grow up with black culture, and I'm outside looking in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I didn't get to a certain extent. There are some. Oh, Steven is here, by the way, dear listeners.
Hey, man.
He's on Kay's lap, and he just gave Kay a bite on the hand.
It was a love bite, but we don't love bite here. Aww.
And then he immediately was like, I'm sorry, you shamed me in front of the audience.
Yeah,
And,
he's a little bit frisky right now, so I don't know how long he's going to be staying on this lab.
Yeah, and I'm a little distracted in the back of my head because I'm mentally raging against the Nazis who got me a 12-hour Twitter ban because I hurt their feelings. I hurt the little Nazis' feelings.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't it that they say that facts don't care about your feelings?
I guess. I don't know.
Huh. I guess
don't
it only works for them.
You know, bigots and cowards all over the world. Anyways, can't we all just get along? Except for
Apparently
Nazis?
not. Yeah.
But yeah, I have mixed feelings about this show. I think the largest reason why is because so much of it I just didn't get.
Yeah.
And that's why. So it's so much of it is just completely obtuse to me.
It's stuff that you at the most have secondhand knowledge of.
Yeah. Some of the skits, as we'll talk about, I was kind of just like, I'm just accepting this in the spirit that it's being presented because I have no idea.
There is so much symbolism in this show, y'all. Especially towards the end.
Yes.
And we'll get into that one because I found an essay for you that will explain that one because it is weird.
K to the rescue.
I try.
So, the show opens up with a party! Woo! And everyone is having a good old time, except for Warren, because the first segment is about slave ships. Shackles must be worn, no singing, because that can be code for rebellion, and no drums. But one of the unfortunate passengers is not listening and is playing drums. And this stewardess is way too chipper and talking about how the suffering of these slaves is going to be worth it, because in the future they'll learn great songs and dances and become millionaires due to the magic of bouncy basketball.
Yes, because it's following Miss Pat, your stewardess, taking you on the celebrity slave ship.
Yes.
Get on board, celebrity slave ship. Get on board, celebrity slave ship. Get on board, celebrity slave ship. There's room for many a more. Is the jingle to that.
You're packed in there.
And
And there's lots of imagery they show
Yes.
to go along with it too, like historical drawings and diagrams of how they would cram as many slaves into a ship as possible.
yes. And in the stage version, if you wouldn't have screens to project that on, then it is fully reliant upon the acting of Miss Pat to show what's going on, and it's reliant on knowing what is being said and having seen that imagery before in textbooks, which probably they don't publish that in textbooks anymore. I don't know.
Depends. And so in case anybody was wondering, I was completely wrong. There are no wax depictions of people. There is no security guard at night. This is not really a museum.
Well, it's so the party at the start is like the gala at an exhibit opening, and so that's what the party at the beginning and the end are. Is
Yeah, and each
your
scene is
museum
like
patrons.
Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, but they just go to different scenes. There's no, like...
Yeah.
For whatever reason, in my head, I was thinking you'd be more like walking to an exhibit and then being at the exhibit and seeing the exhibit give you the knowledge and then going to the next exhibit, but instead it's done in a more cinematic way.
Yes, and in the stage version, it would have like a rotating stage that would have each exhibit as each scene. So, it would be like that would be how the scene would change, is on a turntable or something like that. In the off-Broadway version, and in versions where you have a higher budget, that's what it would be. So similar to the ill-fated America Sings ride at Disneyland, but less Imagineers, Fungineers, whatever they're called, less cast members crushed in between the sets.
Oh, So speaking of good things like people getting crushed to death, so yes, in this opening scene there's a whole bunch of horrible imagery of black people being beaten, hung, whipped, and generally abused.
A lot of the woodcuts from the era.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And the stewardess takes a call from the cabin, and we go into a time warp, where we get a super quick recap of important events like the Civil War, the World Wars, and other wars, all the things that black people were participants in, and the Civil Rights Movement. The drums intensify, and the stewardess keeps telling the passengers to repeat after her and say that they do not hear the drums, and they will not rebel.
Mm-hmm.
The slave plane lands, and the stewardess tells everyone to grab their bags, because any baggage that they don't grab will be trashed. And we see a luggage carousel with bags and slaves, because slaves were property,
And
like bags.
And the way that the actors portray, they do it kind of like they are animatronics,
Yeah,
where they just sort of move back and forth.
they have a
in
limited range of motion that they're just kind of repeating.
Yes, and in the script, it's stated that they have ID tags, like baggage tags around their necks.
Well, they had shackles. So.
And it's one of those things that in the next scene when they talk about humor, that's how we tend to deal with stuff, is that it's like there is dark humor in this, because
Yes, there is.
that's what we as a people have had to do to cope with what has happened, is we have to be funny, because otherwise we will cry and scream and rage and it won't look pretty.
Then get the cops called on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this opening section is making me want to go back and argue with Nazis even more than I already do, but I still have to wait another 12 hours and 50-something minutes. Part 2, or I should say Exhibit 2, Cooking with Aunt Ethel, where we get to explore the wonders of black cuisine. Aunt Ethel has some spicy Cajun pipes with some blues, and she sings about making a batch of...
So, basically she's talking about, first you add a pinch of style, and then a dash of flair. Now stir in some preoccupation with the texture of your hair. And goes on later talking about, you add a heap of survival and humility just a touch. Add in some attitude. Whoops, I put in too much. And goes on a little bit more. And my favorite bit is after she's talking about, that you have to beat it, really work it, discard and disown. And in a few hundred years, once it's aged and fully grown, you put it in the oven till it's black and has a sheen. Or till it's a nice shade of yellow, or any shade in between. I can't do the song part there because it's a bridge and it's different. But basically, she is singing, you have baked yourself a batch of Negroes. Yes, you have baked yourself a batch of Negroes. And then tells you, but don't ask me what to do with them now that you got them, 'cause child, that's your problem. And then goes on to say that she's going to be cooking up a nice chitlin quiche, some grits under glass, and a sweet potato pie, 'cause you've been cooking with Aunt Ethel. And I apologize for the really bad singing here. I am not warmed up at all.
That was not bad at all. I actually was quite enjoying it.
Well, thank you.
Exhibit 3, the photo session. 2 well-dressed runway models talk about how they couldn't handle the contradiction of their existence and forget the pain of yesterday. So instead, they live in Ebony magazine where they don't do anything to help black people, just smile and look fabulous, all while holding things for ads. There's no pain, but inner pain.
I love this.
Why don't you talk about it, Kay?
So, they're dancing and posing as you're hearing, we're fabulous. And I love this bit where you realize, what the overarching theme of this exhibit is after they're talking about, Last month I was black and fabulous while holding up a bottle of vodka. This month we get to be black and fabulous together. There are, of course, setbacks. We have to smile like this for a whole month. And we have no social life. And no sex. At times, it feels like we're suffocating. Like we're not human anymore. And everything is rehearsed, including this other kind of pain we're starting to feel. The kind of pain that comes from feeling no pain at all. It is all about assimilation, and that is what our first few exhibits after Cookin' with Aunt Ethel start to show. Is the need, it's the ways, the unhealthy coping mechanisms for pain that we deal with. It's the, we have to assimilate into a culture, destroy everything that's us. Or, may as well just stop, it may as well just kill us before we experience that pain. Things like that per the next exhibit. It's basically, you've got all of these ways of trying to cope with the white supremacist structure in ways that still hurt you, including the, well, we'll just show that we're fabulous. There's no pain at all. We're not showing any pain. What pain? No pain.
I can't feel pain. I look so great.
Yeah, and the more that you do it, the more it's gonna eat at you inside, and the more it's gonna just hurt and hurt. And so that's where this one is talking about, like, yeah, sure, it's great that we get to be black and fabulous, but what about everything else? We can't speak out if we're being black and fabulous. We can't show any other emotion except smiling because we're black and fabulous. And this is that period of time in a little bit of the 80s and 90s where there's a lot of, a lot of glossing over of stuff that's happened because we're trying really hard to forget it. And it comes up in waves in our community a lot. Like, there was a period of time where we tried to forget that slavery happened. And jumping the broom was gone for a while because that was tied to slavery. All sorts of stuff that we had to throw out that baggage and try to not have it there, but it's like, but it is there because we dealt with it for hundreds of years, and you can't just throw it away, especially if the country that you're living in won't let you. Kay gets off the soapbox.
I feel a little lied to about the lead up to Colored Museum, just saying.
Well, I mean, the first few, you have to have the pain before you can have the fun of hairpiece, last mom on the couch, the party, Miss Raj.
The white man in the room is uncomfortable, y'all. And let's go into it. Exhibit 4, Soldier with a Secret. Psst. The soldier knows the secret to your pain. He didn't always know. He had to die and come back. The undead soldier explains that he was sent up, as a scout, but he was caught in a booby trap and in an explosion. All around him is fire and pain, his flesh searing and burning. He's cooking like a chicken being fried in grease. The soldier explains that the reason he was on fire but didn't feel pain was because he was dead. And he walked out of that explosion expecting to see white clouds and his mama and Jesus. But all he saw was an assault, the rest of his platoon preparing for an attack. The soldier cries out to his fellow soldiers, but no one can hear him. The soldier explains that he could see what was going to happen to the other soldiers when they went home, as if he could see into their future of pain. One would be shot by police, another would be abusive to his wife. This war was going to change them for the worse, and the secret to their pain was, murder, I guess? The soldier isn't dead anymore. The medics checked him over and, said he was fine and could continue duty. Or, he's fine for a man who was exploded. Mm-hmm. So this undead soldier decides to go around and prevent the future hurt by taking an empty needle that he stole from the medics and injecting just a little bit of air into the veins of the men who are going to cause future pain after this war. Psst. 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 Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, the actor in particular, gave a very, very emotional recounting of talking about the pain that he could see that these men were going to experience and were going to then propagate onto other people. Because, fun fact, the reason PTSD exists is because humans are not made to commit atrocities and to be a part of war. That's why it messes people up forever afterwards. Yeah.
And that's what this one is partially about, is that. It's about the fact that we don't deal with it, and it's about that desperation of like, well, might as well just die.
Might as well die to prevent the future pain kind of thing. And also it's a bit of a commentary on how America likes to make vets, but not take care of those vets.
And especially
Vietnam.
black vets.
Oh, yeah.
Especially black vets. It's in the stage direction for this. It's a very good way of setting up this scene. Projected onto the museum walls are the faces of black soldiers, from the Spanish-American through the Vietnam War. Lights slowly reveal Junie Robinson, a black combat soldier, posed on an onyx plinth. And then he comes to life and smiles at the audience. Somewhat dim-witted, he has an easygoing charm about him. And that's what makes this so, like, who is that he's doing all of this with this unwell smile.
And he it's interesting they're saying that stage description because he kind of reminded me of Private Memphis from Soldier's Play.
Yes!
He had that kind of well-meaning, jovial country boy lilt to his speech, and just kind of like you know, like I had mentioned in the Soldier's Play, he seemed like he was probably drafted. He didn't volunteer. He doesn't have the attitude of somebody who went to war willingly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so these ones are basically what you're getting right now is the experience. You are getting the experience of what it's the experience of the pain that you have inside your brain all the time, but the pain later on leads to the humor. You don't get the humor and you don't get the good things without going through that.
Exhibit 5, The Gospel According to Miss Raj. So this one, you're going to have to... I'll read my notes, and then you can say more about it, because this one, I think there's probably a whole world of things that I missed.
You've not ever been to drag shows or anything like that, so...
No.
I've been a bad bi non-binary person, and I haven't introduced you to the wonderful world of drag.
To be fair, it's never been something...
To
be fair, it's never been something... Because I have seen, media with drag people in it. I've never seen that and been like, that's something that I really want to watch more of. It's just not something that appeals to me. It's not part of my character.
It's different seeing it live. It's very different seeing it live.
Fair? I mean, I could see going to a drag performance to support a friend who's in it, kind of thing, much in the same way that I go to church to support people. But it's not for me, that kind of thing. I can be supportive of things that I don't understand.
Yep.
But yes, we're at a club called The Bottomless Pit, and Miss Raj, who says that God created black people, and black people created style. Miss Raj says that they're here to answer the great question, is there life after Jerry Curl? The Bottomless Pit is not lacking in diversity, but the specialty of the house is the queens. who
The
are-
Snap Queens.
My bad. Yes, the Snap Queens, who are a rare breed. When something strikes their fancy, passing through the dark, they must announce it with a... As we all know, snapping comes from another galaxy. Miss Raj says that they are an extraterrestrial, not an ET like those in the movies, but one that has real power. Miss Raj says that there is a place here on Earth to study that they're here on Earth to study the habits of people. But before they reveal this divine truth, they need to show off their outfit. Oh, and demons are real. They live in Miss Raj's Bacardi and Coke. Dancing demons. Miss Raj has to dance these demons out before they get out of hand. Miss Raj then tells a story about their father who was taken by their demons, and the drunk calling them slurs over and over again. So Miss Raj did the only thing one could do: kick that drunk into a closet and lock it. 3 days later, Miss Raj remembered that they were in there and let them out. Miss Raj dares anyone to mess with them, 'cause they will into oblivion. With each, they steal one beat of your heart, so if you find yourself gasping in the night, you must have crossed Miss Raj. Miss Raj talks about a muscle man who hurled a series of insults at Miss Raj. Miss Raj delivered a flurry of snaps, and the man dropped dead of a heart attack right there on the beach. Cross Miss Raj and find out. Miss Raj says they're here because the flashing lights remind them of the lights from above, another galaxy where they're from, the lights that tell them how long they have until the end. Miss Raj then says it's the last call, the last dance before the end. So dance your last dance, people. Prepare for the end. So saith Miss Raj. Miss Raj seems to be taken by the demons after their many, many drinks on stage, and tells the audience to snap for all the horrible things: the homeless person ignored, the suicide who feared murder, and other bad things. Miss Raj then tells people that their snap is so powerful, you'll never hear a snap again and not think of Miss Raj. The end of that exhibit, anyway.
Yes. And it's very much it's something that is still an issue, because this tackles it. At the time they were considering this tackling homophobia, I honestly feel it more tackles transphobia, but
I think it's yes. I think the bulk of the lion's share probably is specifically targeted towards trans, but with the way that they word a lot of the slurs that they're talking about, it also incorporates gay culture. But given that Miss Raj is a male presenting performer in drag, that it does make it seem like it's more geared towards the how disproportionately black trans women are murdered and victims of abuse.
Black trans women, black gender non-conforming people, black gay men are killed at an alarming rate. It's very much a thing where this is another thing that the culture has to deal with, and that the culture has to do better with. And especially at this time, it's kind of powerful to see this in a play written by a black man in the 80s. That is huge. That is huge. And in this, it's in the script, it's very much Miss Raj is a drag queen, so and a gay drag queen, so probably a gay man dresses in drag, but the same things that Miss Raj says very much echo transphobia. And this is one of my favorite exhibits. This one, the next one that's coming up is another favorite exhibit, as well as Last Mama on the Couch. But and the symbiosis is another one that I really like. I basically, from this point on, I feel are some of the best exhibits.
That's true. This point forward, I will say I enjoyed the show more, I guess. It's yes, yeah. Because there are some weird parts later that I just don't understand. But yes, I will agree. The next few exhibits are
Amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty
amazing.
Good.
And this one, I love that. Like towards the end of Miss Rogers' monologue, because almost all of these are monologues, with the exception of the hairpiece and
Mama on the
symbiosis and Mama on the Couch. They're all monologues. And so with this one, I love, come on and dance your last dance with Miss Raj. Last call is but a drink away, and each snap puts you one step closer to the end. A high-rise goes up. You can't get no job. Come on, everybody, and dance. A whole race of people gets trashed and debased. Snap those fingers and dance. Some sick bee throws her baby out a window 'cause she thinks it's the devil. Everybody snap! The New York Post, snap! Snap for every time you walk past someone lying in the street smelling from frozen piss and you don't see it. Snap for every crazed bastard who kills himself so as to get the jump on being killed, and snap for every sick MF who's bored with carrying around his fear takes to shooting up other people. I love these lines. George C. Wolfe is a genius. And this, especially from here, this is where you start getting the sort of, okay, we've dealt with the pain. Now we're going to start adding in a little bit more humor. We're going to start adding in, hey, there are better ways to handle the pain.
Fair, very fair.
But you have to have the pain before you have to have the rain before the rainbow.
You know me though, just because the black pain that's being talked about, I know what caused it. I know what caused it.
Yeah.
And I'm just it
this teaches the coping mechanisms.
This fills me with such white hot fury. Okay, next exhibit.
Yes.
Exhibit number 6, the hairpiece, which Kay just told me is their favorite exhibit. We see a black woman who is sad about their baldness and covers their head with a towel. They then start to hum as they put on earrings and look into the mirror, applying makeup. There are 2 busts on the table, both holding wigs, and these 2 busts come to life and start to mock the bald woman, saying that she fried her hair and chemical dyed her head into baldness. The 2 heads gossip about how girlfriend here is pretty enough and has a good head on her shoulders, even if she did hook up with that political quick change artist, who she's getting ready to go dump, actually. The 2 heads argue about whose hair she's going to wear to their luncheon dump. The heads start to talk to girlfriend, and girlfriend is like, I'm having a nervous breakdown. The 2 heads argue about who she's going to wear, and girlfriend is like, I haven't decided. And the 2 heads are like, what do you mean you haven't decided? And Afro head is like, I mean business. You're gonna wear me. And Bangs and shoulder length head is like, no. You want me, because you can shake me back and forth and whip me to and fro. And Afro is like, oh, please, Barbie head dipped in chocolate. You want a head of hair that says you're coming from a real place. And Chocolate Barbie is like, oh, please, Miss Made in Taiwan. And the 2 heads argue more, and the arguing intensifies as girlfriend begins to chew her nails in a panic before reaching out, grabbing both heads and screaming in defiance as she rips the hair from the busts. And all 3 of them scream and then fade to black.
Yep.
And end exhibit 6.
Yes, the woman screams and pulls the 2 wigs off of the wig stands as the lights go to black on 3 bald heads.
3 bald heads. And I do know what this one is about, Kay. You'll be proud. It's because of the stigma of black women not being allowed to have their hair natural, like whether it be school or in the workplace or all these places that the garbage of like, oh, well, your frizzy hair is distracting, or you can't wear braids because they're distracting, or wearing it in cornrows, it's not acceptable. And so black women go through painstaking lengths to chemically straighten their hair and stuff like that so that they can have acceptable, quote unquote acceptable hair. And it damages it. And
Yep.
I know you've talked about having hair fall out because of chemical straightening, and
Yeah.
that your hair is still healing from that.
Yeah, I straightened my hair chemically at 14 and it was one of those things where I didn't want to say the real reason when I was 14. But as I got older, I became more open to my mom about, it's because I don't fit in. I am the only kid with my hair type in class. And then find out that everyone's getting their hair permed, and I had girls trying to have me braid their hair, which, I mean, I can, but...
See, I feel so much of and I am dealing with this, with the arguing of Nazis on freaking Twitter. It's so transparent how so much of the desire to persecute others comes from a sense of a sense of insecurity. And so they have to lash out against other people for having traits that they secretly wish that they had.
Yeah.
So Exhibit 7, Symbiosis. This scene, for me personally, I feel like is the most culturally relevant to 2021.
Yes.
And it's this one. I have never had to deal with anything in this scenario really, and it hit me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, just from a sympathy
Yeah.
standpoint, an empathetic standpoint. So, Exhibit 7, Symbiosis. We see a man in a suit putting his briefcase on a trash can as he opens it up and pulls out some sneakers. His first pair of Converse All-Star. Gone. He puts them into the dumpster next to him. His first afro comb. Gone. Thrown into the dumpster. His first dashiki. Gone. Thrown into the dumpster. The man starts narrating his first this, his first that, as he's throwing them away into the dumpster. He's throwing away aspects of his black self. Aspects of who he was are being thrown away. The man's black self, who later I'll call Kid, but the man's black self is like, why are you throwing away all this stuff? This is our stuff. This is your stuff. And the man in the suit tells his other self that he has to change, that this is the other self, and that the other self has to go. He's going to be part of white society. Johnny in the suit throws away more things, and then we get to the Temptations' greatest hits. His alter self swoops in to grab the record, and he won't part with it. Alternate self tries to talk to Johnny Suit and tells him to dance to My Girl by the Temptations. It's the greatest song of all time! But Johnny Suit isn't having any of it. But Kid Johnny uses a force choke to squeeze Johnny Suit's heart, telling him that he's here to stay, that he's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how many silk ties you put on. It doesn't matter how much you try to appease. It doesn't matter. He's part of your past, and you can't trash it. Kid Johnny isn't going anywhere. Suit Johnny rises up from the floor and composes himself, straightening his suit, all while Kid Johnny tries to apologize and explain that he had to squeeze his heart, 'cause Johnny was talking all crazy like. And Suit Johnny then lunges at Kid Johnny and chokes him to death, killing his past self. He picks up the body and puts him in the dumpster and closes the lid on him, saying that he has no history. He has no past. He must be able to smile on cue, watch the news with an impersonal eye, and have no stake in the madness. Being black is too emotionally taxing. Johnny closes his briefcase, saying that he will be black only on weekends and holidays, and he walks off. but not before stopping and grabbing the Temptations record, which is lying on the floor. Singing the song briefly, he walks over to the dumpster to throw away the record, and as he lifts the lid, Kid Johnny pops up, grabbing Suit and saying, "What's happening?"
Mm-hmm.
I really, really, really like that scene.
Yeah.
The conflict between, you have like the business, the adult side of this man trying to kill his past, to undo the side of him that was like, yeah, black power, yeah, let's fight for equality, yeah, like, be proud of being black, embrace, some of your heritage and stuff like that. And instead he's like, I can't do it because society, it's too emotionally taxing to try and be that person.
Mm-hmm.
It is easier for me if I just try to conform, if I talk white, if I just try to be one of the good ones, quote unquote. And even though he literally murders that side of himself and throws it in the dumpster, that's some powerful imagery right there when he does that, closing the lid on it. That bam, that's signifying that, like, it's like when that bam, it's like it's like nailing a coffin shut. And then when he goes to throw away that Temptations record, what I like about, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but what I took from that is, because as he's throwing away stuff, his Kid Johnny is like, no, don't do that. Like, well, what about this? And then he gets to the Temptation CD, and that's when Kid Johnny's like, no. He grabs that, and he's like, you cannot throw away the Temptations. And they get into the fight about that. And then when Suit Johnny picks up the Temptations, he's actually humming, singing a bit of the song, but he's like, I can't, I gotta get rid of this. It's part of my past. I have no past. I need to get rid of it. But I think that him allowing himself to embrace that small part of his past with singing it revitalized his past self.
Yes, it did.
And so when he goes to throw it away, he is basically in his own subconscious admitted to himself that he cannot separate his past from who he is, because his past is a part of him. And that's when I love that Kid Johnny pops up and he's like, what's happening? He's like, you thought you got rid of me? I'm not going anywhere.
Yes. And there is a bit from the San Bernardino County Sun that I almost brought up before I went, no, I can't spoil this scene for Warren. So, such is the case in a poignant sketch 2/3 of the way through the show, in which a well-to-do black man stands at a garbage dumpster throwing away his heritage, his first afro comb, his first dashiki, his first jar of pomade, and several records by the likes of Sly Stone and the Temptations. A radical street youth witnesses this and loudly protests, but the well-to-do man says to him, "It's all going. Anything that connects me to you, to who I was, to what we were, is out of my life." The reason that he explains is that his revival, i.e. his continued success in the predominantly white corporate world, depends on it. The obvious message here, however, is that blacks shouldn't throw away their cultural legacy as they integrate themselves as equal members of society. The past, even the parts of it that have become stereotyped, makes them proud and strong. The message is universal. No culture should make such sacrifices. Wolf effectively communicates his ideas because he knows how to use laughter as a great unifier. Blacks have united in this country to establish a rich, vital culture, and blacks and non-blacks in the audience celebrate that as they laugh together throughout the play. And it's one of the masterpieces of George Wolfe, in my opinion. I think this show, because it has been performed as recently as 2016, I think it's due for a revival. Like, add in some new stuff, add in some new exhibits, because we had Barack Obama. Yeah. That's a whole exhibit on itself.
That's a whole exhibit right there. And I think a great way... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just going to say, like, we had Barack Obama, and that led to a new reaction to that, and us surviving that reaction. add in Black Lives Matter, because that's a new thing. Like, George, if you're listening, because I know you are, revival time.
We're living in a very interesting time, because we have this kind of maelstrom coming together of, because right now we're dealing with a second wave of the satanic panic and the Red Scare and civil rights. Like, we're getting all these things swirling together, and we're dealing with a lot of the unresolved issues of the past. Are it's like skipping on a record. It's coming back around, and we're having to deal with it again because it was not resolved the first time.
Yes.
And I think I absolutely agree with what you're saying, and I was thinking about the Barack Obama exhibit could be really well done, because it could be a way of, you have a character who's playing Obama talking about the different important black historical figures who made progress to get to the point where we could have a black president, kind of thing, like the boundary breakers and stuff like that. But yeah, I think a colored museum too would be, because I feel like the colored museum, because when you say revival, I feel like it deserves an actual sequel kind of thing, because leaving it as it is now, because because what it talks about is important, and I feel like it could be, you don't need to get rid of what is there, and I feel like keeping it is important, but so much has happened since this show was done that you could do a whole other thing. Don't you? Well, maybe.
So the one reason that I'm saying revival is because a scene has been removed from this already.
Oh.
And that is Lala's opening, which is a sort of woman's version of Symbiosis, but about Josephine Baker. And by the end of that one, though, she comes into her own rather than throwing out the trash. And like the ending of this skit, you have, I must tell you this dream I had last night. Simply magnifique. French! In this dream, I'm running naked in Sammy Davis Jr.'s hair. Yes, I'm caught in this larger-than-life, deep, dark forest of savage, nappy hair. The kinks are choking me, wrapped around my naked arms, thighs, breast, face. I can't breathe, and there was nothing in that closet. And I'm thinking, if only I had a machete. If I could cut away the kinks, remove once and for all the roughness. But then I look up and it's coming toward me, flowing like lava. It's pomade. Oh, Sammy. Yes, cakes and cakes of pomade, making everything nice and white and smooth and shiny like my black behind. Mama, no! And then the spikes start cutting through the pomade, combing the coated kink, cutting through the kink into me. There are bloodlines on my back, on my thighs. It's all over me. And she pulls off her wig and reveals her real hair, because she's had this straight wig. And pulls off, stripped of her disguise. She recoils and, like a scared little girl, sings, and she sings this childhood song. Mommy and Daddy meet and mate. The child that's born is torn with love and with hate. She runs away to find her own and tries to deny what she's always known, the girl inside. The closet door opens. Lala runs away, and a little black girl emerges from the closet. Standing behind her is her black maid, Admonia. The little girl and Lala are in two isolated pools of light and mirror each other's moves, until Lala reaches past the reflection and the little girl comes to Lala, and they hug.
That's really interesting. I like that. That's
and that was cut from the version that we saw.
I'm just saying, I really approve of your reading of that.
Oh, why, thank you.
Yes. One thing I want to mention to the listeners is that I was surprised at how short this show was. It reminds me, I have a similar feeling for Colored Girls, in that it's very rapid fire. Like there's no break. Yeah, and there is no intermission planned in this show. There's no break. It's just straight through. And that thought made me kind of think, well, because you're talking about revision, revival, adding in stuff, you could extend the length and maybe put in an intermission.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You definitely could, because I feel like you can't do anything in the Black experience without the first part.
No, especially
You have to have that first part.
you have to have the really bad stuff, because that's how Black people got here. Was the really bad stuff.
We had our culture robbed from us. We were beaten. We were broken. We were
treated like animals.
And then we had to create a culture of our own. And Black culture is so different from anything else. It is so different from anything else. It's why it's one of those things where even though I am in the Mountain West, I still have resonance with other Black people outside of the Mountain West. We all have this universal experience because we all came from that. It's very different from anywhere else in the world. And so that's why I feel like making Colored Museum into a 2-act, or if you truly have taken away Lala's opening, which is okay.
Actually,
it's
I
okay
like
to
that.
take it out, but I like it. But if you don't have that one, then put in a new one. Put in something to add in at the end with...
Do you think Lala's was taken out because of the hairpiece one? Because you
No.
have two different ones with women talking about their hair and both being...
It would have been... There's one of two reasons that I could think of. Either symbiosis does enough that... Because symbiosis is universal even for Black women, because we can think of that too, of like, oh yeah, the free Angela Davis button, I'm throwing that in the trash. Free that, like, just that is definitely a... that one is very universal for all Black people.
That one applies to a broad spectrum.
Yeah, and Lala's opening is very much for Black women, and we do have one later that's for Black women as well, and I'll explain it to you.
You know, that's the one that's completely over my head.
Yes, I'll explain that one to you. But, you know, I that's one of the two reasons. The other reason is the obvious one, time. Because this was a great performances on PBS, so you have to cut things down for time, and that would have added in another whole segment. And when you're going through, that is the one that you can remove, because the other ones you have to keep in. Even permutations, you need to have in. And we'll get to that one. But that's kind of where I'm thinking of it, which, by the way, I didn't shout it out yet, but the version that we saw is on the YouTube channel Real Black. It's the same channel that we used for Harlem is Heaven last year.
And it's REEL.
Yes, REEL, like a film Real Black. And they're fantastic. They have all sorts of, like, really hard to find shows. And I really recommend going through the catalog on their channel. It's amazing. So that was, when I saw that they had Colored Museum, I freaked out.
Yeah, Kay did.
Yes. So, on to the next one.
Alrighty. Exhibit 8. The Last Mama on the Couch play. A man in a suit is sitting in a chair, reading a book. He looks into the camera and says, "We're proud to bring you another Mama on the Couch play. There is a couch with a mama on it. Both are well worn. There is a picture of Jesus on the wall. Bing! There is a window which looks out onto a worn... What did he say?
Abandoned tenement.
Abandoned tenement. That's like an abandoned apartment building, right?
Yeah, tenements would have been your precursor to... Well, they're not really a precursor to apartments, because apartments existed at the same
Is it like
time.
a project?
Tenements are the really, really ratty, not well maintained multifamily dwellings that...
With a shared bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Then we have enter Mama's 30-year-old son, whose brow is furrowed and heavy from 300 years of oppression. And I didn't write down his name, so...
I've got his name. It is Walter Lee Bo Willie Jones.
Yes, Walter Lee Bo Willie Jones. Yes, the man is every character from just about every show Kay and I have watched this year for Black History Month. The man's mama keeps telling him to wipe his feet, but the man is like, "Gah, I have a dream. I want to be somebody, but Mama wants me to wipe my feet." Mama is like, "God will show us the way." And Black Son is like, "God don't care about the black man." And Mama is like, "I'm gonna get out of this couch and slap you for talking about God." And she does. Slappity slap. And the narrator rushes on stage to give her an award for how amazing her performance was. And now enters the lady in plaid, the son's wife. And she's in braids and with rubber gloves is holding a toilet brush and talking into it like a microphone. She's unhappy with her 30-year-old husband still living with his mama, and the son just wants his dinner after a hard day of dealing with the man. The lady in plaid goes on about how this is not the life befitting a queen, and the son grabs their children dolls and is like, "Cook me dinner or I'll kill the children," and he throws them out the window. The narrator comes out and takes the award from Mama to give it to the woman in plaid for her heartfelt performance as she cries over her children being thrown out the window.
And I love how it's like, okay, Raisin in the Sun, we've got Sidney Poitier's acting, but turned up to 11.
The actor playing him, he seemed like I'm sure he wasn't, but like the way he just kept moving and just his body was like that, it's like he's on meth. Like, and I'm sure it was
very much making fun of the
very exuberant acting. Yes,
and Lady in Plaid. Which show is she referencing?
I want to say it's for colored girls.
Yes!
Okay.
She is exactly for colored girls. She is basically that, she is the one monologue where she's talking
where the children
about,
get killed.
Well, she's both that one, but before that, she's also the monologue about, why am I not remembering her name? The
Louisiana
festival. The Bayou Queen stuff. And so
because I got that feeling because she's very much like, dancing and stuff like that, and talk about, very much like the goddess of...
Yes. She was a creature of regal beauty who in ancient time graced the temples of the Nile with her womanliness, and he even writes her speech a little bit in poetry, so that, like, he doesn't do the slashes or anything, but if you are into theater, then you know exactly who she's supposed to be and know exactly how you're supposed to act her. And I just love it. So after the Lady in Plaid...
Yes. Next entering the scene is the sister, Medea, who is all decked out in African garb and talking with a Shakespearean lilt and all poetic and stuff. Basically being like, if we try to be well, are we being well for ourselves or like our oppressors? And her brother is like, what's wrong with you? And Medea gets even more Shakespearean as she does an interpretive dance. And the woman in plaid is like, I didn't understand anything you said, but you used them words, so here's the award. And she gives her the award.
Yeah.
And the son is like, wait a dang moment. This is about me and my pain and my battle with the man. And the cops show up, and over the loudspeaker, we hear them yelling at him for overacting.
Yep.
And as the son approaches the window, he's shot by police.
Son, no! Don't go near that window! Son, no!
Blam, 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 blam. And Mama rocks and rocks to work up the momentum to get out of her couch.
I love that. That's such a good touch.
What I like about that, the well-worn couch, because it implies it's like really sinking, you know, a really sinky couch.
Yes.
And she gets out of the couch and gives a eulogy about her fallen son, who was just like his father, and his father's father, and his father's father's father.
I've got that monologue.
You can read it after I read my note. And how he's dead. Couch Mama falls to her knees over her son's dead body and laments about how her son was not born into a world with no well-worn couches and no well-worn mamas who sit on well-worn couches and and where no one ever over-emotes.
You basically read the monologue, so never mind.
Okay, sorry. If only he could have been born into an all-black musical. Because no one ever dies in an all-black musical. And the scene changes to a musical, and Couch Mama starts to sing about why couldn't he be born into an all-black musical where he could smile, sing, and dance? And then the surviving people get up and sing and dance around the stage, all while lamenting about the son who was not born into an all-black musical. And then the music changes to an upbeat music, and they start singing to the son's dead body to get up and dance, because this is his second chance, because they're in an all-black musical now. The son rises from the dead and joins his family to dance. Suddenly, they're all in evening wear,
Yep.
complete with top hats, and continue dancing and singing about being born into an all-black musical. And then they say, if you want to live, you've got to dance. And then we see 3 black folks in blackface, hammering home the point that if it's not black pain, it has to be black entertainment.
Yes, and I will read the stage directions at these points because the stage direction really shows. So Walter Lee Bo Willie springs to life and joins in the dancing. A foot-stomping, hand-clapping production number takes off, which encompasses a myriad of Black Broadway-esque dancing styles, shifting speeds and styles with exuberant abandonment. Mama scats and the dancing becomes manic, just a little too desperate to please. Just at the point the dancing is about to become violent, the cast freezes and pointedly simply sings, "If we want to live, we have got to dance and dance and dance," as they continue to dance with zombie-like frozen smiles and faces. Around them, images of coon performers flash as the lights slowly fade.
Yeah.
So basically, not just that it has to be black entertainment, it has to be manufactured, making white people comfortable black entertainment.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about
hello,
that...
my sweetie, hello, my darling, hello, bright time girl.
Well, what's interesting about that is I kind of wonder if some of the shows that we will cover next year, if I can find them, if they are a response to this being pointed out.
You hinted at a little bit of that when we were watching the show, and I'm sure we will expand upon it more.
Because, like...
later.
Especially a show that George C. Wolfe is part of, Bring Into Noise, Bring Into Funk. It is very pointed, and it is Black history in a musical with tap. Yes. But, like, I sit here and I think about it because, you know, if I had never seen any shows before things like The Color Purple, and while it's not written by black people, Once on This Island, I would have been like, what are you talking about? People die in black musicals all the time. Well, that's after Colored Museum. Black plays have the pain, black musicals make white people smile. Just a thought that it kind of dawned on me this latest watch through of like, oh, that's why I am almost certain because of the response that people had to this show that's where the change came from.
And Black K makes White Warren smile.
Ow.
Oh, shall we?
Yes, let's get to,
Exhibit 9.
Yep.
Permutations. I'm going to read my notes, and then Kay will explain what the heck this one is actually about. Exhibit 9. Permutations. A woman is sitting with her hand on her chin. She says that her mama told her that God made the exceptional, and then the special, and then when he was done, he made her. Yikes. But her mama doesn't say that anymore ever since she laid this big egg. How big do I hear you asking, phantom listeners? Big enough to be like a beanbag? It's a big egg. And the woman is on a huge egg, saying that she had this egg after being intimate with the garbage man, who smelled like all the good things that people shouldn't throw away. And after 3 days, her belly swelled up all big, and her ashamed mother locked her away so the neighbors couldn't see. And after a few weeks, she was in incredible pain from the swollen belly. The pain was so bad that she passed out, and when she woke up, the big egg was there. And when her mama got home, she was like, "What is that thing?" And she's like, "That's not a thing. It's an egg. I laid it, and it's mine." And she explains that she spent all her time hugging that egg. And she's like, "I'm the only person who's ever birthed an egg, so I'm special. You hear that, Mama? I'm special, and so is my egg."
Mm-hmm.
She explains that she counts to the egg and sings to the egg and talks to the egg, and the egg talks back. And I think her brain is a little scrambled, but she's excited because she hears multiple heartbeats inside the egg. More heartbeats than she can count. But she stops counting at 6, so 7 or more. The woman is very proud of her soon-to-be egg babies. Who knows what they're gonna look like? The woman gets very serious, saying that her babies are gonna be special and unique, and nobody better try to hurt her special egg babies. And the scene ends, and we don't get to see the egg hatch or what the egg babies look like. And what the heck, show? What the heck? You give me that weird scene and then you don't give me any closure? Kay, help me out, Kay.
So, I'll first read from the book itself, and then I'll tell you about this essay that I found that will help a little bit with this. So, she suddenly stops and puts her ear to the egg and listens intently. "Oh, I don't believe it. I thought I heard. Yes. Can you hear it? Instead of one heart, there's 2. 2 little hearts just pattering away. Boom, 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 talking to each other like old friends, racing towards the beginning of their lives. Oh no, now there's 3, 4, 5, 6, more hearts than I can count, and they're all alive, beating out life inside my egg." We begin to hear the heartbeats, drums, inside Normal's egg. "And any day now, this egg gonna crack open, and what's gonna come out be the likes of which nobody has ever seen. My babies. And their skin is gonna turn all kinds of shades in the sun, and their hair's gonna be growing every which way. And it won't matter, and they won't care, 'cause they know they are so rare and so special. 'Cause it's not every day a bunch of babies break out of a white egg and start to live."
I think I just understand what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. "And nobody better try to hurt my babies, 'cause if they do, they're gonna have to deal with me. Yes, any day now, this shell's gonna crack, and my babies are gonna fly. Fly! Fly!" She laughs at the thought, but then stops and says the word as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Fly.
Is this about race mixing?
No.
Dang it. I
Well,
thought I
not
had it.
really.
I
So-
thought I had it. When she's talking about they're going to be every shade, the hair's going to go every which way, I thought it was talking about, you know, how the expression of genetics when
I mean,
people have babies.
that can be a part of it, but the big symbolism of it, and this essay that I found, that this is a high school essay, I'm pretty sure.
Is it on the dangers of race mixing?
No. It's by...
I'm sorry, I've been dealing with white genociders. So.
You're fine. It's from Goldie Barajas, who did this for their English 1B class back in 2011, and it's specifically about this scene. And the thing that really hits with this is the name permutations for this exhibit is very appropriate, since it means the act of transforming or arranging the order of elements in a different order than its original form. This title, in relation to the exhibit, means that the author will present us with an exhibit that will talk about some sort of change and the arrangement of things having to do with the African American experience. In other words, it is rising up the idea of breaking out of some kind of ism or oppression. As far as the themes within this exhibit, I see themes of identity, trashing, and assimilation. All of these themes have indeed been touched on in previous exhibits, for example, the trashing and identity in Symbiosis and the assimilation in Photosession. And what she's talking about is breaking out of white supremacy.
Oh.
That white egg keeping the babies in there.
Ah!
And the mama was going to just take that away so that we don't have to deal with that. But she wants to nurture these babies and get them out of that egg. Get them out of the white supremacist structure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can see
And those
that.
babies of all shades, you know, it's like the babies are going to come out all shades of black. And,
because black people are all shades of black.
yeah, black people are all shades of black. And what I love is she talks about, as far as the white egg, it symbolizes black people living oppressed by society's white people. This is ironic because Norma's babies are definitely not white, but black, which means that the egg should be black instead of white, or rather brown instead of white. And it's, you know, the quote, "It's not every day a bunch of babies break out of a white egg and start to live," meaning it's not ordinary for black people to break out of racism or white supremacy to start living upon their own standards and not the ones that white people have set up for them. And it's a very subversive thing that... Yeah, it's not common that I agree with folks who are responding to symbolism in a show that, because I don't know, we talked about this with Raisin in the Sun, but I'm very straightforward in my thinking because it's just how my brain works.
I kind of do that too.
Yeah, it's kind of how my brain works, but with this one, that white egg is the shell of white supremacy and trying to be beholden to that structure.
And it makes more sense about the heartbeats being drums too, because in the beginning the drums that were taken away.
Yes.
So their heartbeats are that drums, that ancestral music.
Exactly. It's what was taken, and it's still living in there. And the next scene really grows on that.
Hey, you are absolutely right. This, yes.
And I love it. This is a perfect ending for this show.
This last scene, she was talking quite fast and had a lot going on, so I definitely missed some things. So, of course, again, I'll get through my note, and then you can tell me what I was wrong with.
Yep.
Exhibit 10. The party! It's party time, and turn up the music. This woman is shaking her groove thing and is like, have you ever been to a party and seen one fool in the middle of the dance floor dancing harder than everyone? That's me. And she explains that when God made the world, he didn't rest on the seventh day. He partied! She talks about this amazing party someplace between 5th Street and Infinity, and how all these different important icons were there, talking about important icon stuff. And this Infinity party, at this Infinity party, everyone was partying. And then the floor started to shake, and the walls started to move, and the entire room took off and began to fly through the air, spinning and spinning, and then disappeared inside of her head. And now, when she's walking down the street, she's just dancing and bopping because this party is in her head. She used to get enraged when someone would try to stop her from being herself, but now she doesn't need to because the party is in her. They tried to take their drums, they tried to take their people's drums, but the drums are in their walk, in their speech, in their hair. She's not her past, but she can't live without it. She is who she is, and who she wants to be, she is indefinable.
So, I love this one. I love this one so much. It is the perfect way to end this show. And speaking of the party, what is the most interesting part of the party is who you've got interacting. Inside was the largest gathering of black, Negro, colored Americans you'd ever want to see. Over in one corner, you've got Nat Turner sipping champagne out of Eartha Kitt's slipper. And over in another corner, Bert Williams and Malcolm X are discussing existentialism as it relates to the shuffle ball change. Tap.
Oh, okay.
Girl, Aunt Jemima and Angela Davis was in the kitchen sharing a plate of greens and just going off about South Africa. And then Fats sat down, Fats Waller, and started to work them 88s, and then Stevie joined in, and then Miles and Duke and Ella and Jimmy and Charlie and Sly and Lightning and Count and Louie. All musicians. And then everybody joined in. I tell you, all the children was just all up in there, dancing to the rhythm of one beat, dancing to the rhythm of their own definition, celebrating in their cultural madness. And then the floor started to shake, and the walls started to move, and before anybody knew what was happening, the entire room lifted up off the ground. The whole place just took off and went flying through space, defying logic and limitations, just spinning and spinning and spinning until it disappeared inside of my head. And her thing that she repeats is, "I'm dancing to the music of the madness in me."
Dancing to the music of the madness in me, and that madness, I can extrapolate what that madness is. It is all the pain and all the joy of the American experience, going all the way back from being brought here, through all the hardship, through all the joy, through all the innovations and revolutions,
and all the contradictions.
Yeah.
All the contradictions of being black in America. And I love what she says, and this is actually in the original stage play, which is not in the version that's on Real Black. Because I'm not what I was 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. I'm all of that and then some. And whereas I can live inside yesterday's pain, I can't live without it. And that's everyone in the cast saying it, because it's a 5-person cast, and everyone comes out as their characters from each of those scenes. And you've got all of a sudden madness erupts on the stage. The sculptures begin to speak all at once. Images of black, Negro, colored Americans begin to flash. Images of them dancing past the madness, caught up in the madness, being lynched, rioting, partying, surviving. Mixed in with these images are all of the characters from the exhibits. Through all of this, Topsy sings. It is a vocal and visual cacophony which builds and builds. You have Lala, who was cut. I must tell you about this dream I had last night. You have Miss Raj, snap for every time you walk past someone lying in the street smelling like frozen piss. You have the man, I have no history, I have no past, I can't, it's too much, I must be able to smile on cue and watch the news with an impersonal eye. You have Miss Pat screaming, "Stop playing those drums! I said stop playing those damn drums! You can't stop history, you can't stop time! Those drums will be confiscated once we reach Savannah." And over it, Topsy is singing, "There is madness in me, and that madness sets me free," over and over and over. And then she ends it with, "My power is in my madness and my colored contradictions." And then the sculptures freeze with a smile on their faces as we hear the voice of Miss Pat. "Before exiting, check the overhead, as any baggage you don't claim, we trash."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh.
Colored Museum needs to be taught because it's such a good look at all of it. it's one that when I saw that there were so many mixed receptions to it, like there was a part of me that understood why, but another part of me that was like, but we kind of need to see that, and we kind of need to because the whole point of this show is we are living contradictions, and we need to we don't trash our own identity. We need to acknowledge it, acknowledge the past, and then build. Because you can't just throw back, oh, this bad stuff happened and I'm going to ignore it. You can't say, oh, I had to try and fight and create an identity, but now I'm going to try to assimilate. You can't do that. It's impossible. Instead, we need to celebrate that culture. We need to celebrate us. Anyway, yeah. I love this show.
I thought that was I really enjoyed your impassioned your recap of that.
That's from the script.
I know,
that
but I'm
book.
just eating it up. But I think that one of the reasons that it like you talked about, that it had such a mixed reception,
mm-hmm.
is it may also be that the people who had a less than positive outlook on it maybe are more like me and didn't
mm-hmm.
understand
mm-hmm.
a lot of what was being presented,
mm-hmm.
because I like it more after hearing you go into a greater depth about the things
mm-hmm.
that I didn't understand, because
mm-hmm.
now I have a better understanding.
Yeah.
And so I like it more. So I think that maybe that's the situation too, is that
mm-hmm.
rather than people, because there's always the attitude that some people have where it's like, I don't want to admit that I don't understand something because then people will think that I'm dumb, or I'm admitting that I'm dumb.
Yeah.
But if you're not admitting that you don't understand something, you can't learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very powerful show.
Mm-hmm.
It starts out with a swift, rocket punch to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
But then, actually it's exactly what you're talking about, that it's taking that pain, you can't throw it away, you have to build on it. You can't let it be a shackle that holds you back, but you can't let it be a bad dream that you forget.
Yep.
It's a part of who you are. It's a part of the bricks and mortar of the society that we traverse.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand it so that you can not just live with it, but grow from it.
Yes, and there's a line at the end with Topsy, because Topsy is the character that I feel the most latched onto in this, because my dad had a lot of anger, and I am a person who struggles with ever expressing anger, and Topsy has a great line that she says, "That's right, girl, there's a party going on inside of here. That's why when I walk down the street, my hips just sashay all over the place, 'cause I'm dancing to the music of the madness in me. And whereas I used to jump into a rage any time anybody tried to deny who I was, now all I've got to do is give attitude, quicker than light, and then go about the business of being me, 'cause I'm dancing to the music of the madness in me. And here, all this time, I've been thinking we gave up our drums. But nah, we still got 'em, I know I got mine. They're in my speech, my walk, my hair, my God, my style, my smile, and my eyes. And everything I need to get over in this world is inside here, connecting me to everybody and everything that has ever been." And that is like I feel like that is the ideal.
Yes, exactly.
Topsy is the ideal there.
That is the ideal, and as long as I've known you, I know that it can be really hard, and that there can be times that the lash and the shackle pull you back, but you still try to live that ideal, try to reach for that ideal, because it reminds me, of a saying I've said before to you, but the best revenge is living well.
Yeah.
And I see that in the ideal, that the best revenge is like, you did not break us. in the same way that that the hammer beats the steel, it also, and the fire forges, it makes it stronger too.
Yes,
kind of
yes. And it's one of those things because, like, growing up, my dad always focused on the anger, the rage, the hate, the anger, the rage, the hate, the anger, the rage, the hate, and never really the joy. The things where it's like, yeah, this all happened, but I'm here. I'm here in spite of them. And you know what? I'm going to live. I'm going to live my best life. I'm going to live, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to... it's one of those things that... It's a rough thing, and the anger can still be there, but then you direct it. You direct it instead of just having it be anger everywhere. Instead of it just lashing out all the time, you gotta direct it. You gotta direct that energy to actually making a change. To going, okay, I'm angry about this. Well, why am I angry about this? Okay, well, what can I do to fix it? And half of the time I found it is teaching people. But, again, there are people who don't want to be taught.
Yes, there are people who don't want to be taught. And those
people, sometimes, they are the baggage that you have to throw in the trash. They are the baggage that is not being claimed. And any baggage that isn't claimed, we trash. So, yeah. Colored Museum's so good, y'all. It's so good. It's on YouTube. Real black. Watch it. You can also read the whole play in Black Theater USA, and that includes Lala's opening, and includes bits that I talked about that weren't in the real black version. It also includes what the actual stage directions are, what the stage setting is. So good, y'all. So good. Yeah. I love this show. George C. Wolfe is a genius.
I concur.
Mm-hmm. So, how'd you like that for a wrap-up of Black History Month this year?
I would say that this has probably been more of a whirlwind than last year's.
Mm-hmm.
But also part of that is because we had more that we could watch,
mm-hmm.
rather than you kind of reading to me and talking about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned some things, and you've given me some things to think about too,
mm-hmm.
which is interesting because I'm kind of thinking about that too, because I'm also sometimes a victim of that too, just
mm-hmm.
the rage and the anger, because it's easier to be angry at the transgressions of the past than to think about how to help the future, help the
mm-hmm.
present, help the future. And I have some self-reflecting to do.
It is okay. Self-reflecting's always good. I do it all the time. That's one of the biggest lessons that I learned, and we'll talk about it more in K and Warrantine with the specific community, but a community that I was involved in for a long time, one of the biggest things that we always did was questions. We always ask why. What and why? What are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? Why do you feel this way about this? Why do you feel this way about that? Why is this way? A lot of why questions help. And sometimes you don't get an answer right away. But sometimes after asking yourself enough questions, you'll get that epiphany, and it's like, oh, okay, I need to do this instead, or, yeah, this happens, and I can't do anything about it myself, but I can steer other people who can do something about it. I can open more people's eyes to this issue. I can open up more people's hearts. And maybe I can't touch that person over there, but someone else sees me trying and goes, oh, well, let me figure out what's going on here because someone else is questioning something that I was thinking. And why am I thinking it that way? And it can help. It can absolutely help. Questions are always good. This is a pro self-reflection podcast.
That's why I'll be standing naked in the mirror from here on out. And you'll be saying, Warren, why are you standing naked in the mirror? I'm self-reflecting. This Black History Month has been very educational,
Mm-hmm.
very painful,
Mm-hmm.
very entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I don't, yeah.
And now that we've done kind of like a basics, we next set of shows that we will cover for Black theater history will be a little bit more like some of the other shows that we missed covering, because I've got 2 books of shows. And that's not every show.
Of course, yeah.
And maybe someday I can go into that Black theater archive. Please God, somebody let me in there. So I can just sit and bask in the greatness and the amazingness. But yeah, Colored Museum. Now you see why it's one of my favorite shows.
Mhm.
Now you see why I was so excited to get to it.
Why you've listened to it 3 times
Yes,
this month.
I love this show.
4 times now.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good, y'all. So, I'm saying all of this to delay what happens next week. Because, next week is March, which means the,
March Madness. That's a part of Black history too, right? Because like 90% of the NBA is Black.
ha ha ha.
Hey,
I mean,
but
there will be some madness. They do talk
They
about
talk about basketball.
They do
Yeah.
talk about basketball with Miss Pat when she's saying that
You'll
this
be
little
millionaires
thing here,
because of basketball.
You'll become millionaires. But no, there will be some madness with March because we have to continue our sentence.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. No.
I know, baby. I know.
Say it. It's okay.
I'll make you feel better with some dino facts, but we have to finish our sentence, and at least you get to swear.
I guess there's that.
There's that, because you'll need to. Next week, we continue our series of Land Before Time episodes with Land Before Time 4, Journey Through the Valley of the Mist. Might just be Journey Through the Mist. I've got such a headache just thinking about it. Latte thinks that you're dying.
Oh my goodness. My dog does not understand melodrama.
Nope, but she's smiling now.
He gave me a little toe wag like, Dad, you're being silly.
You're being a silly dad.
You're being silly.
Dad, you're
You go-
silly.
Oh, look at that smile.
Yeah, big
That
smile.
That's a good girl.
So, next week, Land Before Time 4.
I'm gonna swear so much.
Me too,
I have
baby.
a whole February to make up for. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Latte's gonna swear too.
Yes, she is.
It's gonna be her first words.
So, thank you all so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed these Black Theater History episodes, and that... Yes, that 2021 in February was good to you, and that you learned something. Maybe decide to share these specific episodes with your friends and family. Say, hey, you know what? You know what's not really well represented in theater? Black theater. We need to lift up Black voices, and what better way to do it than to introduce them to different aspects of Black theater. And there is a section on the website just for these episodes. Which website is that, Warren?
Well, our wonderful listeners can reach out to us at tonedeafmusical.com, where we have links to our social medias, our Twitters, our Facebooks, our Instagrams, as well as a link to the Cast Junkie Discord server, where we have our very own Not Safe for Work channel that is surprisingly mild. So please feel free to drop in, say hi, talk about theater, share pictures of your pets, or just talk about whatever.
Yes, if you want to help out the show, you can simply do that by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes, Podchaser, Stitcher, wherever you can leave your reviews and ratings. Those really help drive up the show in the charts, and you don't even have to, say anything. You can just, you'd want to say something because review's way heavier, but you could say something like the sky is blue, or yes, Colored Museum is a masterpiece, or latte's cute.
If you mention Latte in your review, she gets a cookie.
Yes, she does.
Latte, do you want a cookie? Wow,
expression.
this is the one time that you're not gonna... I was trying to set you up. I was trying to set you up with our listeners to get some cookies via review, and then you remain completely silent.
Well, she is the mostly silent third co-host.
Yeah, but she's been groaning when we stopped petting her.
She's a silly girl.
She's like,
If
English
you-
is my second language.
If you want to go above and beyond, you can join our Patreon, which is Tone Deaf Musical, and you can become one of our stage crew, you can become a producer circle, you can even be a ticket holder, and that is fine too, because you will earn our undying love. You can also buy stickers, hats, masks, t-shirts at our TeePublic store linked on our website. But anyway, that'll be it for this week. I'm Kay,
I'm Warren.
and this has been Tone Deaf.
Oh, you're such a silly